What's up, Broncos Country? You guys won't believe what happened last night behind the scenes at the Denver Broncos training complex. While the family was sleeping peacefully, thinking about the next playoff battle, the front office was working behind the scenes, making moves that could completely change the course of this season. And look, when I say change, I'm not talking about just anything. I'm talking about reinforcements on the offensive line, that wall that protects our general on the field. But before I tell you all the details of this bombshell, I want to know something from you. Do you trust George Payton's decisions? Because what he did could be a masterstroke, or, well, let's find out together. The news came Wednesday morning and caught everyone by surprise. The Denver Broncos officially announced the signing of Nash Jones to the practice squad. But wait, who is Nash Jones? Why should this name matter to the Denver Broncos family? And more importantly, what does this mean for our team in the next decisive weeks of this season? Stick with me until the end of this video because there's a lot at stake here, and you need to understand every detail of this move. Nash Jones, folks, is an offensive lineman who was with the Los Angeles Chargers until recently. This guy is 6 feet 5 inches tall and weighs 320 pounds of pure muscle mass. We're talking about a giant, a true human wall who can make a difference when things get tough up front. And look, the Denver Broncos don't just bring any player to the practice squad. George Payton and the entire coaching staff evaluate every move very carefully because they know that each piece can be crucial when we need it. But let's better understand this guy's trajectory. Nash Jones wasn't selected in this year's draft. He came in as an undrafted free agent and participated in the entire preseason with the Chargers. He trained hard, busted his butt, showed his value on the field during the preparation games. But when it came time for the final cuts, when teams need to reduce the roster to 53 active players, Nash was released. This happens every year in the NFL. Denver Broncos fans, talented players are left out because teams need to make tough choices. And often, what's one team's loss becomes another's gain. And here's where it gets interesting, family. The Denver Broncos already knew Nash Jones long before he wore the Chargers uniform. Back in March, during the period before the draft, Nash was at the Broncos training complex for an official top 30 visit. For those who don't know, these top 30 visits are when teams can bring up to 30 prospects to meet up close, conduct interviews, medical exams, and evaluate if the player has the profile they're looking for. In other words, Broncos Country, our team had already done their homework with this guy months ago, and there's more. At the beginning of this month of December, even before signing with the practice squad, Nash Jones returned to the Broncos complex for another workout. Another evaluation session. This shows that the interest was real, that the organization had been watching him all along. They were waiting for the right moment to make this move. And when you think about it, it makes perfect sense. The timing couldn't be better. We're entering the final stretch of the season. Every game now is practically a playoff game, and having depth on the offensive line could be the difference between getting that crucial third down conversion or seeing our offense stall. Let's talk a little about Nash Jones's college resume, because this explains a lot about the type of player who just arrived here. He played for Texas State University, and in his final year in college, he was the absolute starter at left guard position. He played all 12 games as a starter, was recognized with honorable mention on the All-Sun Belt Conference team. This means he stood out in a competitive conference, caught the attention of scouts, showed consistency. The scouts who evaluated Nash Jones before the draft pointed out several interesting characteristics. He has an explosive first step, fundamental for an offensive lineman. When the ball is snapped, he reacts quickly, can engage with the defensive lineman in front of him with speed. This is crucial in the running game because the faster you can create that initial opening, the more space the running back has to accelerate and gain yards. And with the Broncos, with the type of offense we run, having guys who can open holes in the ground game is essential. Another skill that stands out in Nash is his ability as a puller. For those not so familiar with the technical terms, a pulling guard is when the offensive lineman leaves his original position, pulls to the side, and leads the blocking on outside run plays. He's that guy you see running in front of the running back, clearing the way, blowing up linebackers. Nash has good mobility for a guy his size, can move laterally with efficiency. This gives options for the offensive coordinator to create different plays, add wrinkles to the game plan. Now, obviously, no player is perfect. The scouting reports also pointed out areas that need development. In pass protection, he still needs to evolve. Sometimes he tends to get too high in his stance, which allows more technical defensive linemen to get him on his heels. His core strength needs to improve so he can anchor better against bull rushes, and his hand placement isn't always ideal, which makes it difficult for him to hold the block long enough. But here's the point: Denver Broncos family. He's a rookie. He's 23 years old. He still has a lot of room to grow, plenty of time to develop, and now he'll have the opportunity to learn from one of the best offensive line staffs in the NFL. The Broncos have a tradition of developing offensive linemen. How many times have we seen guys come here as projects and transform into fundamental pieces? It's the perfect kind of environment for a player like Nash Jones to grow. And look, let's be realistic about what this signing represents at this moment. Nash Jones isn't going to be elevated to the active roster tomorrow and start a game on Sunday. He's on the practice squad. This means he'll train with the team during the week, help simulate opponents' schemes, continue developing his skills. But it also means he's there, ready, in case any need arises. And in the NFL, injuries happen. Players need rest. Having someone on the practice squad that you've already evaluated, that you already know, who can be elevated quickly if necessary, that's real value. In addition to signing Nash Jones, the Broncos made another important move on Wednesday. They designated inside linebacker Kareem Reed to return from injured reserve. This opens a 21-day window where the team can activate him to the 53-man roster or leave him on injured reserve for the rest of the season. Reed suffered a hamstring injury back in Week 10 and has been out since then. Before getting injured, Kareem Reed had participated in 174 snaps, working mainly on special teams, and as a backup linebacker. He made 5 tackles during that period. May not seem like spectacular numbers, but in the NFL, depth is everything, especially on special teams, which can decide games. And with Justin Strnad currently out due to an ankle injury, having Reed back would give more options for the defensive coordinator to work with. It's interesting to note what George Payton, our general manager, said about Kareem Reed back when he was drafted, still in the training period. Payton praised the player's maturity, mentioned that he served on a mission, that he's 25 years old, so he brings a more mature perspective to the locker room. He talked about his intelligence on the field, his instinct for the ball, the urgency with which he plays. These character traits, Broncos Country, are as important as physical abilities. Sean Payton really values this type of player, guys who understand the professionalism that the NFL requires. Now let's go back to Nash Jones for a second and think about the bigger picture. Why is the Denver Broncos tinkering with the offensive line right now? Well, if you've been following the games, you know that pass protection has been inconsistent at times. There are games where our quarterback has all the time in the world in the pocket, and there are games where he's running for his life. Having more options, more bodies prepared to come in if necessary, only strengthens the team. And thinking about depth, Nash is only the second offensive lineman on the Broncos practice squad now. The other is Joe Michalski, who is also an undrafted rookie, so you have 2 young players there, competing, pushing each other to improve. This internal competition is healthy, keeps everyone sharp. And who benefits from this is the main team, because they have more competitive practices during the week. Let's talk about the Broncos situation in the standings right now, because this contextualizes why every move matters so much. We're in a direct fight for a playoff spot. Every win counts. Every point counts. And when you're in this position, you can't afford to be caught unprepared. If a starter gets hurt in warm-ups before the game, you need to have someone ready to come in. If a player is having a bad day and needs to be substituted, you need to have options on the bench. It's planning, it's preparation. It's what separates the teams that go far from the teams that fall in the home stretch. And look, Denver Broncos fans, I know some of you might be thinking, but it's just a practice squad guy. What's the big deal? And I understand that thinking, but let me tell you something. How many times have we seen guys come up from the practice squad and become heroes? How many times has that player nobody knew made the play that changed a game, a season? The NFL is full of these narratives, and who knows if Nash Jones can't be another one. Think about this with me. The guy has already visited the Broncos complex twice. That means he already knows the staff, has already been exposed to the playbook, has already started the process of understanding the team's philosophy. When you bring in a completely new guy, it takes time for him to adapt, learn the terminology, understand how things work. But with Nash, this process is ahead. If he needs to be elevated tomorrow, he won't be completely lost. He'll have a foundation to work with. And let's be honest about something. Sean Payton isn't known for having patience with players who don't understand his system. He wants smart guys who process information quickly, who execute with precision. The fact that Payton and Payton approved bringing Nash back tells me they saw something in him worth developing. They believe he can contribute in some way, whether now or in the future. Here's a quick call out for you, Denver Broncos family. If you're watching this video and haven't subscribed to the channel yet, hit that subscribe button now. We bring the latest news every day, in-depth analysis, everything you need to know about your favorite team. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss anything, and leave a like on this video if you're excited about these front office moves. Let's grow together. Let's strengthen the family. Coming back to our conversation, one thing I find fascinating about the modern NFL is how teams use the practice squad strategically. In the old days, the practice squad was kind of like a storage place for players who weren't good enough for the main roster. But today, smart teams use it as a talent bank, a place to develop young players, store veterans who know the system, and even keep guys who can provide information about other teams. In Nash Jones's case, coming from the Chargers, this could have additional value. He trained against that defense throughout the entire preseason. He knows some of the schemes they run, understands the tendencies of the players. And guess what? The Broncos and Chargers are in the same division. We play them twice a year. Having someone who can give insights into how they operate, that's valuable intelligence. But let's go beyond that. Think about the long-term development here. Nash Jones is 23 years old. If he shows progress, if he demonstrates that he can be an NFL-level player, the Denver Broncos could be looking at a bargain. Good offensive linemen are expensive in the free agent market. If you can develop one internally, you save money that can be used at other positions. It's smart roster management. It's the type of move that well-run teams make consistently. Look at the Broncos' offensive line now. You have established veterans who are playing well. But how old are they? How much longer will they play at an elite level? The NFL is a game of attrition, family. Players age, get injured, retire. You always need to be thinking 2-3 years ahead. Bringing in young talent, giving them time to develop, this ensures you won't wake up one day and realize your entire offensive line needs to be rebuilt. And there's another aspect worth mentioning. Locker room culture matters. When you bring in young and hungry players like Nash Jones, guys who are desperate to prove they deserve a chance, this keeps everyone honest. The starters know there are people behind them wanting to take their job. This keeps the level of effort high, keeps everyone focused. It's healthy competition that elevates the entire group. Now, Broncos Country, I want to hear from you. Do you think Nash Jones will get a chance to show what he can do this season? Or do you think this is more of a move thinking about the future, about 2026 and beyond? Comment down below because I read all the comments and love seeing your opinions. We're a family here, and everyone has a voice. Going back to Kareem Reed for a second. The 21-day window to activate him is interesting because it gives flexibility to the coaching staff. They can evaluate how he's recovering in practices, if he's at the physical level necessary to contribute. If he's 100%, great, activate him, and you have another body for special teams and for the linebacker rotation. If he's not ready yet, you don't lose anything leaving him on injured reserve until next year. And think about this. If Justin Sternad continues to be out for more time, having Reed back could be crucial. The depth at linebacker wasn't the best to begin with, so losing two guys leaves you very thin at that position. And in December, January, when games get physical, when the weather gets brutal, you need numbers. You need to be able to rotate players, keep them fresh. You can't overload your starters and expect them to keep performing at maximum level week after week. Let's talk about the schedule ahead. Every game now is a war. The opponents are desperate too, fighting for their lives in the playoff race. There won't be any easy games, and the more prepared you are, the more options you have, the better. Sean Payton is known for using his entire roster, for finding creative ways to put players in position to succeed. Having more tools in the toolbox only helps him do his job. And here's a reflection, Denver Broncos fans. Sometimes we get so focused on the stars, on the big names, that we forget that football is a roster sport. It's 53 players on the active roster, plus the practice squad. And everyone has a role. Everyone contributes somehow. Nash Jones may never play a snap this season, but if he's getting the defense prepared during the week, simulating opponents' looks, he's contributing. If he's pressuring the starters in practice, making them work harder, he's contributing. Another thing I think is important to mention is George Payton's philosophy in building the roster. Since he got here, it's been clear that he values players with character, with work ethic, with the right profile. He's talked several times about wanting guys who love football, who are obsessed with improving. And when you look at a guy like Nash Jones, who wasn't drafted but kept working, who trained hard with the Chargers even without guarantees, who came back to do workouts with the Broncos looking for an opportunity, you see exactly that profile. These are the types of players who build dynasties, family. Not necessarily the super talented first-rounders, but the guys who refuse to give up, who find ways to contribute, who become roster players because they work harder than everyone else. The NFL is full of examples of guys like this, and who knows if Nash Jones can't be the next one. Let me make a prediction here. I think we're going to see Nash Jones elevated to the active roster at least once this season. Whether due to injury or due to Payton's strategic choice, I think he'll get his chance. And when that chance comes, he'll be prepared. Because that's the type of opportunity that changes careers. You only need one game, sometimes one play, to show you belong at this level. Folks, we're getting to the end of this video, but before we wrap up, I want to leave a message for all of you. This season has been a roller coaster of emotions. We've had incredible moments and frustrating moments. But through it all, the Denver Broncos family has stayed united, has supported the team unconditionally. And it's this support, this energy you bring, that makes a difference. The players feel it. The staff feels it. Keep believing, keep supporting. The moves the front office made on Wednesday, bringing in Nash Jones and designating Kareem Reed for return, are examples of a team that's always working, always looking for ways to improve. They're not satisfied. They're not complacent. And this should give us confidence as fans. We have leadership that understands what needs to be done. So Denver Broncos family, what did you think of these moves? Are you excited about Nash Jones's arrival? Do you think Kareem Reed will be activated in the coming weeks? Leave everything down in the comments. And don't forget to share this video with that friend who bleeds orange and blue just like you. Let's spread the word. Let's strengthen Broncos Country. Thanks so much for your attention here. I know it was a long video, but there was a lot of important information to cover. And if you stayed until the end, thank you very much. This shows how much you care about the team, how much you're invested in this season. Keep it up. Keep being this passionate and informed fan base. See you in the next video with more news, more analysis, more everything about the Denver Broncos. And remember, family, We're in this journey together. Until next time, Broncos Country, let's go.